I'm Janet Arns. This is my artwork. I make a lot of my artwork out of kozo or flax in either the Eastern or Western method of paper making. I like to produce a lot of different kinds of textures so that it has three-dimensional quality and tactile quality, so you want to feel like you want to touch it, even if it's behind glass. I also use a lot of industrial material just to give another three-dimensional quality to it and a reflective quality. Of course, it's been a long process or a long journey to get this far. I primarily started as a weaver, fiber artist, and I did sculptural weavings, and they just got more and more detailed, more, I almost say bulky, so that they had to have some more internal structure. So then actually paper making in itself was a fiber because you can make paper out of any cellulose material, even though it depends on the strength, of the material that's used. So with paper making, and especially with flax, when I overbeat it, it's very an adaptive material, so that I can, I can sculpt with it, I can cast with it, I can make real thin layers. It just depends on what my end result is. Most of my artwork tends to be based in nature. A lot of it is because I like to use the flax, which in itself is pretty much a natural color. And I use a lot of it, even though some of the things do have color in it, and a lot of times the color I used with pigments, so that's kind of an ionization process, so it's more light fast. Though I do tend to use oxidation, a lot of natural dyes, for like walnut dye, to get a lot of my dark brown colors. I knew I wanted to study paper making, and so I went to the University of Iowa and I wanted to take one class in paper making, just to learn the process first of all. Well, when I was there, they said, "We'd like to keep you." Okay? So basically I studied, my emphasis was, of course, in design, but all my artwork and things I did in paper making or whatever, so that I learned both Eastern and Western method of paper making. And then it's, kind of an ongoing process. But you really have to learn about the whole paper chemistry, which I think is kind of fascinating, because a lot of times, I'm going to say I teach, so a lot of times students think, I'm going to take art classes because I don't have to have math, I don't have to have science, I don't have all these hard classes. But they don't realize that you really need all those to make paper, to make artwork. So like paper making, like in Western method paper, the longer you beat paper, the harder, firmer, crisper, darker in color it's going to be. But when people think about beating it, like flax is a really hard fiber. So it has to be processed in a Hollander beater, which of course doesn't chop up the fiber, it macerates the cells, so it's full of the hydrogen atoms. So real true paper making is held through hydrogen bonding, and not when some grandmother says, "Oh, I just did that in my kitchen in a blender, I made paper with my grandchildren." Not really truly happening. They're still recycling paper, and they're not producing real handmade paper. There's a lot of things based in landscape, first of all, and really the textures from landscape is probably the most important thing, and then it's like, how can I reproduce it? After dozens of years as an artist, you have a good grounding in the process, different kind of processes, and what goes together and doesn't. Though, I make sketches to do some general planning, but a lot of those are from nature. But if you ever looked at my sketches, it just looks like a lot of lines and scribbles and stuff. But a lot of artists are like that before they get to the following one. Because I'm also open in changing what I think I'm going to make as you go, because some processes I do, you think you're going to get one thing and something else, and you have a happy accident. So it's it has taken a long process to learn to be able to put different textures and mediums together, even though most of it's that paper. So that it's just, and then I use a lot of different kinds of paper that I make out of different materials. So the different processes of different paper making will give me different textures, they'll give me different colors. Okay. I have some paper that I probably beat in 8 hours. So a lot of times you spend days, weeks, months making just different colors paper, or different values of paper before you ever make the finished artwork. So you can't really put a time limit on it, I would say, because some like oxidation processes takes at least 24 hours or more, because you have different coats and different patinas that you want to create, and then you kind of layer things on top of that. So you really can't put a time on it. It's not like a painting or printmaking. Once they produced it, most times people don't think about the process and getting there. So, like I said, it's an ongoing process. I also say things aren't done. That if I don't like it, I change it, I tear it apart, I re-put it back together. So I can't really say it took me 3 days to make this. Other than capturing like moments in time and nature, and it's different. A lot of at times it depends on the medium. The medium. Like if I make Eastern paper against Western-made paper, it's really just kind of capturing the evolution of the Earth, how it changes and evolves, erosion. Some of it's instinct. I think that's a question a lot of people ask. A lot of it has, the design. You're going back to really the basics, elements and principles of design. So you have movement, you have repetition, things that look like a cohesive composition. You've got to study. You have to practice, as in any type of thing. The longer you work at it, the better you'll get. But being an artist, you really have to find, it could be your medium, it could be a style, it could be a subject matter. And you really have to make thousands of variations of that before you really feel like you have accomplished something, and you feel like it's good to kind of present, to the public. Because a lot of times artists can throw away, destroy, hundreds of pieces before they ever feel like it's good. Because even if you go through art history, you'll see all the paintings on top of paintings, from famous masters. So it's just really, really working and dedicating yourself to and finding what's really you.
Emma Lang from Grinnell, Iowa. I do watercolors and acrylics, and did a couple multimedia pieces. My art, I do it because my head is extremely scrambled, and I have 1,000 different things happening in my head, and it kind of helps me to straighten that out in a very physical sense. And it's very enriching, and art is just a part of every aspect of my life.
So do you have a favorite medium? Is painting it, or?
Yeah, watercolor definitely, and what else? I do photography as well, but mostly watercolor.
Okay, tell me why you think art is important in general.
So, I think I'm gonna have a hard time expressing this, but I'm doing art history right now, and you can read about history in a way that shows what's happened, but that's all very biased. And so with art, it records kind of what happened, but how people felt throughout history. So kind of like, 100 years from now, you can look at these art pieces and you can kind of see what life was like from, the inside of someone's head instead of just kind of this objective view of like, this happened, and art's just, it's so important. I don't know, there's a lot of ways, but...
Okay, and what inspires your paintings?
Nature. Definitely nature. Like, and people. Anytime I have a conversation with someone, an idea will pop into my head of how I could, like, record that, or, like, it goes along with this color, and, like, yeah, but nature, most of all, like, the serenity, and the details, and the textures, and, yeah.
I'm Katie Gassman, and I'm from Marshalltown, Iowa. I do art because it's a way to really express myself. I'm also a dancer, and it's just a whole nother way for me to really like put myself out there in a way where I can tell my own story. And yeah.
And what about the medium? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, like I use all types of medium. I just started oil, and I really have been liking oil. And watercolor is also one of my favorites.
Okay. And what does it do for you then?
What does art do for me?
I asked first.
Yeah. I'd say that's kind of hard. I don't know. It puts you like in a different view. Like you really have to like look at the world like in your own way. And I think for me that's like something I'm constantly doing. I like taking in the world a different way and kind of just putting it out on paper or anything else. Like as you're dancing, you kind of like think of stuff that you might paint, and I think it's fun like painting dancers as well because like it's just different and it's kind of cool.
Okay, so is that your favorite thing to paint, dancers?
No, my favorite thing to paint is probably just like realistic stuff in general, so probably like that kind of like maybe a dancer, but more realistic than like cartoons or anything else.
Okay, and what do you see it as art and part of your future life here? How do you see that in your future?
Well, I'm going to school to be an architect, so I can see myself designing a lot of stuff, and just like art will always like be with me and be something that I will continue to do like throughout my life because it's definitely a passion that won't ever like die down.
Alrighty, my name is Trevor Andrews. I'm from Albion, Iowa, and yeah, I paint and stuff. I'd say what probably inspires me to paint the most is, books or music. I'm really inspired by like old kind of Nordic or Viking stuff. Like I really like that aspect, like kind of fantasy realms and whatnot. I've been pretty much doing art for as long as I could hold a paper and pencil. I just recently actually started painting this semester in painting class. I haven't actually ever painted prior, so this is all kind of new to me, I guess, working with acrylics.
So what's the change to paint doing for you?
Well, I get different tones and different uses with the color, because usually I would just draw in my sketchbook and be like, hey, yeah, this looks pretty good. But now I actually work with canvas and paintbrushes and paint, and I can mix colors and create different kinds of shadows and tones, and it's a different world, but it's the same one, I guess. So yeah, it's different but the same.
So in the process of doing a individual painting, when do you or how do you decide when it's done?
Well, it's really important to not overwork the painting, because I feel like a lot when I paint, the painting is taking me on a journey. I'm not really painting it. It's just I'm just kind of there along for the ride, I guess. Usually, I guess when all the canvas is covered, or when there's nothing else to do, I suppose. That's when I feel like it's probably done.
Okay. And how do you see art in your future?
I see it as a big part of my life and my future. It's always going to be something that I'm going to do. I would love to teach it eventually, be a art teacher, and I'll most definitely continue it. I'll probably paint until I can't paint anymore, most likely. So
I'm Brianna Simpson. I'm from Marshalltown, Iowa.
I've taken almost all the art classes here, and when I take art, like do art, I guess, is because it makes me happy and it's more interesting, and I like to learn about that. So that's one way for me to continue like going to school.
So what inspires your art?
Everything, like the people I get to know, the things I see. I want to, if I think it's interesting, I want to learn how to tie it into my art or see it in a new way.
Okay. How do you see art in your future? Is it going to be a big part of your life? Or?
I hope so. I hope art becomes a big part of my life. I don't really see myself doing a standard job of like sitting at a desk and just waiting for stuff to come in through like paperwork or anything like that. I've thought about teaching, but I've also just in general thought about doing art as it comes by, just t-shirt designs to posters and things like that.
And you want to talk about your favorite mediums?
My favorite medium is colored pencil when I draw. And I'm still learning paint, like how to paint and stuff, but I like working with watercolor and ink to do my paintings and drawings and stuff like that.
Why is that?
I like that watercolor is like a nice, like calm feeling to it, and it's really flat toned. And then when you put some ink on it, it brightens it up and it's a strong color, and the contrast between the lights and the darks between it.
Well, hi, my name is Tim Castle. I'm the art professor here at MCC, and welcome to our fall 2016 student art show. Primarily in this exhibit we have student paintings and student 2D design and 3D design work. As you can see, hopefully, from some pan shots, it's very full is the gallery. It is very colorful, it's very rich, and I'm very pleased with what the students have done this particular semester. I think it speaks for itself. Basically, in the paintings, we are asking students to experiment in various areas. For example, they have to work from observation, from the still life. With this painting to my right here, I actually brought in some sunflowers and we placed them on the table, and they had to make an interpretation of the observed still life. Sunflowers in this case, as you can see right here. They had to do things with landscape, they had to work with the human figure. So there are parameters that they have to work with. But within those parameters, there is a lot of freedom for the students as well. So I think that's what they really like. There's guidance, there's direction, there's structure there, but there's also a lot of latitude for them to work with each project. And I think they appreciate that very much.